What's up, my people? Dmitry with the second episode of Business Hats podcast with very, very special guest today, Aaron Bible. He's already a legend in the storm restoration industry. Aaron, thank you so much for being here today. Here's the thing, guys. We have a couple very trendy story recently, and I want to share something with Aaron here. You know Sam Kohler? Have you personally met him or
No, Facebook.
Facebook? So I was talking to him last Friday, and he brought your name up. So he brought actually two names, Alex and Zach from Lifetime Builders, and he said Aaron Bible from Options. And he said that he inspired by you. He said those are the guys who I look up to. And I said he's going to be on my podcast on Monday. He's like, no way. So I know he's probably going to be watching it. Um, Aaron here is in Minneapolis, local roofing contractor. What's going on? Are we good now? Did we hear it? Igor, talk to me. Are we good now?
Yes.
Did we have a sound first?
We're good now.
Okay. Do I have to start over?
No.
All right. That was weird. Anyway, so you have very similar story, but you are about 4 years ahead. Let's talk about your story. How did you get into this business? And talk to me about your beginnings.
Okay. Because like I've done a little bit of thinking. So I'm kind of, I feel like abnormal in this industry. Like my undergraduate degrees in finance and economics. And then I went to go to work for for UBS, which is like a Swiss bank, doing their like financial advising. Got laid off in 08. And then I went back and got my master's in accounting. And so that was like my first. So I graduated, what would that have been, 2010? And had some friends, and I got involved in wholesale distribution. So we sold various things to Walmart, Target, grocery stores, Walgreens nationwide. And while I was doing that, I did that for 5 years. But a couple years into that, one of the partners there had an uncle that worked for a telemarketing company, and he sold roofers like free roof inspections for like $250. And we thought these roofers were really dumb. So we tried to expand our telemarketing company for like a year and a half or something to try to sell storm leads to roofers. So that was kind of, I guess you say, my first introduction.
Okay.
Didn't really do anything in 2012. But I quit doing that in 2015, and a bunch of people that worked for the telemarketing company I worked for worked in the storming industry too. Like they kind of transitioned in between the two industries in sales, and a couple guys went and started companies. And one of the salespeople from that, I was like the accountant there, but he said there was a lot of money in gutters. So I helped him start a gutter.
Would you agree with that today, that there's a lot of money in gutters?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But he's like, we're going to go buy these gutter machines. We're going to hire these employees. Look at all this money we can make. And like gutters make a lot of sense on paper if you like can manage that properly. But it just wasn't for me, trying to be like a hands-off owner. And he had his own like storming company, or like roofing company, you would say. And we had this gutter company together, and I spent a couple years messing around with that and doing other stuff at the same time. So
what was your first year in business? When you officially decided I'm going to open a roofing company?
I would say 2018.
2018. So 4 years in business. And I know your story, I know your numbers, and we're not going to focus too much on the numbers, but just so our audience understand the scale of your company today, how many projects are you going to do this year? Let's do this. How many projects you did this month?
November, Sloan, Minnesota, probably completed 120 so far.
140 roofs?
100, yeah, something like that. Like we were averaging about 80 roofs a week all year.
80 roofs. Guys, I want you to think about 80 roofs a week. Most of it insurance claims.
A good portion of it, yes.
How many sales reps do you have?
80.
80 sales reps. Amazing numbers. I mean, crazy, crazy, amazing numbers. Now, my question to you is I know one of the things that's very controversial that you're doing, and many people don't understand, you are not taking deposits, no down payments. What's behind it? How did you arrive to the business decision not to take down payments?
Um, like I feel like it builds trust and rapport with homeowners. Like a lot of customers, especially some of the, I would say, less affluent customers, they get these insurance checks and they're the largest checks they ever see. And when you look at your competition and the first thing they want is to take the biggest check, someone's ever seen, versus like our presentation is we're not going to ask for any money from you until we have thousands of dollars of material on your driveway, roofers up on your roof, you know, tearing off your roof, that's when you owe us money. But at the end of the day, we want to repair. And
So even if they take insurance, even if they receive insurance money, you still don't want it that first ACV check, RCV. Like when do you collect? So if you knock on the door and they have insurance checks sitting there, you're still gonna sign a contract with no money down. When is the money due? When you touch the roof?
I mean, ideally, it's when we're tearing off the roof, but like that's not going to make or break us. Maybe it's the next day or stuck at the mortgage. We can wait a week or two. We kind of just set expectations with the homeowner as soon as that check comes. I mean, we waited months for that first check, depending on something out of the homeowner's control. But for us, it's always keep building.
How often does it happen for your company? Do you have any number, any data to share when you have hard time to collect? What's your receivables when people not paying you?
Like,
1%, half percent?
well, like paying us in full and paying us, the entire balance are two things, like you cannot, like, it doesn't make sense to go sue a homeowner over $1,000 when the homeowner doesn't want to pay you that.
Of course.
There
How often
has,
does that happen?
it's really not that significant. Like people talk about bad debt, and I can just say it's not substantial.
Cost of doing business?
Cost of doing business. Like one of my favorite stories is to tell is like when I destroyed this guy's house. Like I had to re-sheetrock his whole garage, repaint every ceiling in it, re-insulate his attic. Like I was upside down from it, during it. But like a couple weeks after we repaired his house, he signs another contract with us for 40 grand to put new siding on his house. Like after we destroyed in the roof build, but like most people would look at that and you're losing like tens of thousands of dollars fixing this guy's house during the roof build, but being able to afford that and like not being short-sighted. You can't make money on every job. You just got to make money on.
Do you feel like it's harder and harder to please customers these days? Do you see the trend at all that people are harder to please or have higher expectations for whatever reasons?
No.
No?
I mean, I don't really notice it, I guess. I mean, I don't like to talk to customers a lot. I've really, like I was telling someone the other day, I haven't been on a roof since April, which is,
I mean, you have 80 reps, you have plenty of other jobs to take care of. But let's get down to, and guys, if you have any questions, comment below. We'll be answering them during this live podcast. But there's so many people who will fight and who will argue that not receiving down payments, delivering materials is a huge risk, and people are crazy, and nobody should be doing it. What do you answer to them?
I mean, I don't need the homeowner's money. Like I always look at, I'm going to show up, do what I'm supposed to do. And if I mess it up, I'm going to make it right. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to take your house. I mean, like I'll fix it regardless of whatever the cost. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and you're going to pay me the money you owe me. Or like Minnesota does a good job of protecting contractors. So we have great lien rights. Because there have been customers that refuse to pay me. And, we've exercised that right.
What did you do? How many times did you go after the homeowner? Like few?
Yeah, like there's a couple times I've got leads, but every time they've paid me or someone's come to bail them out, and it's usually like there was this how would you say this not nice landlord up in Pine City. Like he didn't want to pay us like after we upgraded him and all sorts of stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm not paying you the last 15 grand. And like I was like,
Sometimes landlords are like that. They, for some reason, they think that, oh, you already made your profit, so you already made your money. Like, that mentality just always throws me off. Like, how can you treat someone like that? We have a deal, it's in writing, numbers don't lie, you cannot argue with that. And it happens. Usually it's those people who think about themselves as big shots. I'll give you all this work and I have so many properties. Give
Yeah.
me a deal. And what did you do? Like, how do you exercise the lien rights?
Well, like I just refer it to legal, and like you file a lien, and then you see what the judgments are, or whatever, on or what the balances are, and then you can take it to sheriff's sale. And if you have the money to pay off, the mortgage, which I would, I could take the house. And usually there's an appreciation of value. But usually by the time you go that far, someone steps in to bail out the homeowner. I mean, there was a lady with a drug problem who like spent her whole $20,000 check, and her dad came in to bail her out 14 months later. It paid us when we were about to take her house that her dad bought her.
Wow. So you usually collect money one time at the end,
No,
since you don't take down payments?
I usually collect the ACV check, ideally the day of the build or within a couple of days of the build. And then the second check when the homeowner's fully happy with the balance.
Got it. Um, okay. So no down payments. To me, it still sounds a little crazy, but because I know the volume. How do you manage 80 employees? You said you haven't been on the roof since April. What your day consist of?
Replying to emails, talking to my team. I mean,
In the beginning, I asked him, I said, so we have 3 minute countdown. And I said, if you want, you can share it on Facebook. He said, I don't have Facebook. I had to delete it. How long ago did you do that?
probably like, I want to say it was before the spring last year. Like it was like a time suck on my phone.
Who's posting on your behalf? Because I've seen pictures. Like, you
Like
expect
I'll
them.
do it on a computer,
I
or I'll
see.
have like Instagram on my phone, but like I had to delete the Facebook app. Instagram really doesn't interest me. And I had to
This
turn
is
off
how,
notifications.
this is how you grow the business. You delete the Facebook, and it's definitely one of the top reasons. Would you say it's top reasons why so many people cannot be successful this day, because of distraction? What's there for you? Like, why did you decide it? Like, you were honest with yourself. Did you look at the screen time, or
Yeah, it was sick. Like it was literally like whether I was driving or I was bored. Like I didn't want, oh, I don't want to reply to that email. I'm just gonna go scroll through this mindless stuff. And like I've like learned some stuff like from Facebook.
Sure.
One of my favorite stories was to tell is how we did this $400,000 project I got from Facebook. Actually a roofing group on Facebook,
Okay.
which was kind of a cool project, but
How did you get it? What's the story?
okay, there was a guy, I was driving to work, and I was scrolling down Facebook, and some guy was posting about roofing the largest house in Kentucky. And I was like, what is this? It's not even like that crazy big of a house. And I read in the comments and I know who it is. And like he's he's a coach of some like professional sports team here. And I know who he is, and like we actually knew where the coach lived, and like we did his neighbors, and I grew up in that neighborhood.
Wow.
And I was like, we can't get a hold of him. He's not answering his door, and he's like, let me ask coach. Next thing you know, coach says, all right, be there at 1 o'clock. And I didn't even go. I sent one of my sales reps, and he went there at 1 o'clock, and like we'd already done work with his neighbors, but it led to like one of the cooler projects we've done. Like I think there was over $100,000 worth of copper work we had to pay for on it. So
Very cool. I want to address something. Last week, I mean, you've seen the Sam Kohler story. So as we published Sam Kohler story, I've never seen so many negative comments on one video. And Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. So once you become a creator, you monitor comments. Not like, you know, you can get a lot of comments when you're trolling people, but you also get a lot of comments when you're creating content. And it wasn't my story. I just shared the story. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how nasty some people are. And the funny part was, we have guys. So talking about how much time we're spending on Facebook, we have guys who will publish the same comment on many groups, and even will say, like, just like I was saying in another group, like they would, and I'm talking about big comment. I'm like, do you have life? So you have a conversation with someone over there. Now you come in here and you want to make sure that everybody hears you here. And the comment wasn't the smartest comment, among comments. It's essentially some kind of hate, some kind of, he's doubting Sam. And you went. The reason I want to ask you this because you're on a similar path. So you started 2018, young guy, killing it, selling millions, have millions in sales, building all these roofs. Why young people having so much hate from older roofers?
Why?
And how do you
I mean, people
deal with
always
it?
hate people who are successful. I mean, if you're doing something and someone's jealous, like they're always a subset. Like I guess I have my group of haters people have told me before, and I'm sure I do, but
How do you react to it? How do you I guess move on with the hate? Like do you just ignore it, prove them wrong?
like that's a huge driving force.
Love
A
it.
lot of people like have told me
Love it.
like there was two people who once told me like it was a couple years ago that like the next wasn't going to be that easy, and then I did it, and then like this year we set a crazy goal and we did it yet again, and like I never necessarily thought like we were going to achieve certain milestones we set, but we kind of set the goal, created the infrastructure, and like achieved it. I think I mentioned you how we partnered with private equity recently.
Let's
Eh,
talk about it. Give me the full story. So you're already running 80 reps. How do you like? What's next? Where do you go from 80 reps?
where do I go from 80
Yep.
reps?
What's the next big thing?
Like ever since I got into this industry, I thought it was too good to be true. And I want to build a real sustainable company. And it's going to take a team to do that. Like roofing and the industry in particular hasn't seen a bunch of consolidation. And I want to be a part of the team that help
It's
makes that.
happening more and more, though.
Definitely. There's a couple of us doing it. Like it's crazy when I told you, our revenue this year. Like I can't believe like you put like I think we're probably one of the largest steep slope roofers in the nation. Like probably top 5 if you put our combined revenue.
Yep.
So
Guys, if you're watching this right now and we have like 25 people watching and not asking questions, I don't know what you're doing. This is the time when you put Facebook to use, YouTube to use. This is your opportunity to learn. Private equity. How give me the whole spiel. Like why are you doing it? Why not keep growing in your own path? Why do you need private equity?
I didn't need private equity. I wanted private equity. I know I didn't have all the answers. I want to be a part of a team to make this happen. Like no one builds like a large corporation all by themselves.
Mhm.
And some of the stuff, private equity allowed me to take some cards off the table a little bit, and it's helping me level up in my,
What's the biggest advantage? What it allows you to do that you couldn't do last year?
well, they know how to build big companies, so like I have historically always been like a CFO. So when I was at the telemarketing company, I was the CFO. And then I started a couple of my own companies before I focused on roofing, why I did the gutters and some stuff. And I was always the accounting. And like I'm leveling up from that. And like that's a big deal for me to let my hands off that. And I'm so excited to do it.
What's the hardest thing in delegation for you?
So having expectations, because I'm always like, if it can be done, it can be done now. And you look at my management team, we're probably the private equity said we're one of the most driven management teams they've ever seen.
How many people in the team?
Depends how to find it, but like I would say my core 4, if it can be done, we can be done now from like I would say 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night. Like we're all like Johnny on the spot. It can be due 7 days a week. That's just kind of our mentality of delegating. And you can't have that expectation with everyone. And it's kind of hard. When I say the biggest problem in my company right now is I ask someone or something or some sub to do something, and we just assume it's going to get done and it gets lost instead of the follow through. And like,
How many sales reps did you recruit this year?
20-ish, probably about. We've been growing about 20 a year.
20 years. So 80 people. I mean, it's impressive because this time around, 2022, everybody struggles to hire talent. How did you manage to recruit so many? Did you use agency? You have someone internal, or is it word of mouth? How do people find you, and why would anyone want to work for you?
Well, I always say happy people bring happy people. So a lot
Love it.
of my employees, I really lean onto them to think who they would be a good fit. And like I look at roofing, especially like roofing sales, is more of a customer service. So like I feel like a lot of roofers, come from, I would say, like a hammer background, some of them, and don't come from the customer service mentality and how to communicate and how to help the homeowners. Because I explained to like my sales reps, I'm not going to ask them to swing a hammer, but you're the face of the company. So communicate with the homeowner and have those expectations. And
Love it. Let's do a few questions. Dmitry asks, "You're a great team leader. What is one piece of legitimate advice that helps be a better leader?"
so I was going through a breakup in a partnership I had once, and that partner was sitting there telling everyone that they couldn't do this without him. And I was sitting there telling them, I don't know what I could do, but we could figure it out together. And there was something I showed my guys that Elon Musk posted a couple, like maybe it was a year ago, and it really hit home for me. It was like, when I ask you to do something, it was there were three options. It was explain to me where I'm wrong. I'm not always right. If I'm not clear, ask for clarity, or resign. And like
Uh,
those are like the three things, because like it's really true. Like if you tell me I'm not right, listen to me. If I'm not clear, ask me. But I'm not saying do that. But I just that
Right.
hit home, like the philosophy I understood.
Do you have a mentor? Anybody who helps you to become a better leader?
No, but I always say my wife like talks me off a ledge on a regular basis. Like honestly, I don't know how I got her and how she puts up with me to this day, but like since she came into our business, like I feel like that's one of our keys to success.
Really? What she does for the business? What's her role?
We say she's a chief operations officer. So COVID hit and she got furloughed from the hospital, and she was working for some large medical chains here in the Twin Cities, and she was doing performance improvement. So she'd work with the leadership teams on their processes and systems and all the leaders. So she'd go and work with the nurses on some unit and identify their process and how to make it better and work from the management down. So when COVID hit, she got furloughed
Mm.
and
So
she
she has
came.
skills.
Yes, like she's a Six Sigma black belt, not a black belt like a brown belt or something, but
Wow,
yeah.
it's very cool. Um, Proline is asking, by the way, Proline, if you guys don't know what Proline is, highly recommend. It's pretty much will replace your employee. Anything related to follow up for $300, it'll follow up on all your estimates, all your pending stuff. But Proline is asking, how long does it take to train a new sales rep before they can generate sales on their own? Great question.
Well, I feel like it's a process, you
But
know.
but how long initially? So you hire someone with no experience, bartender there yesterday. How long will it take your company to train him to start selling roofs?
I would say for them to be fully self-supporting, it can take years, but selling on their own, it could probably depends on what step they are on the process. But I would say about a month.
1 month you can train people to. Do your sales guys mainly door knock?
That's a portion of it, yeah. Um, a huge portion of our business is referrals, and networks. I'm really good with my guys on networking and how to do that.
BMI groups?
EMI groups, just various, like one of my favorite things to say is like, do you know you're a car insurance agent? And like I ask my guys, their car insurance agents every year. And like more and more raise their hands, but all the new ones never do. And I say, good, find a new one.
Why is that question?
Because you can meet an insurance agent that you can get a source of referral from and explain to them what you do and how you can help them with their business, and they can help you with their business.
Got it. All right. Other question. Doss says, I have known Aaron for a long time. He's a great guy and an awesome business owner. Alex Rodriguez asks, what was the revenue and how has he gone about building his sales team? You don't have to answer if you don't want. I promise him I'm not going to dig into sales numbers because I feel like we're focused a little bit too much on it, but it's up to you how you want to answer this question.
I mean, combined as an entity, we'll probably do if we acquire these 2 more entities, over 300 million this year.
300 million this year.
Yes.
Where are they? Like, so you're here in Minneapolis, one of the biggest players. Where are
I'm
they?
not the biggest player.
One of.
One of them.
Yeah.
But yeah. We're in 17 states, soon to be 27, I believe, something like that.
Got it. Let's, guys, ask questions if you're curious about something. Do your sales reps communicate with customers using their personal cell phones, or do you provide work phones numbers for them?
Personal numbers.
Personal numbers.
Yes.
What happens if you lose them? And how often does it happen? Like, if you lose a sales rep, what happens to his leads, if it's company leads? Or
usually, like, their manager will follow up on them, and they should have a good sense on what they're doing. And usually if someone's leaving, they're not being successful, so a lot of their leads usually aren't very good in the jobs. Like,
I see. Give one advice to someone who's just getting started, like brand new, fresh, decided to open a business.
it's not worth it. Don't jump over dollars to save pennies.
It's
You-
not worth it. It's
like,
not-
it's just some fights like I've got into in hindsight. Like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Whether it's like with a homeowner or a sales rep or someone, like, if I'm right, like, sometimes it's just not worth it.
so don't fight it. Let it
Like,
go.
you can fight it, but it's just like, how hard do you fight it, and to what extent? Like, good example is a homeowner wants me to pay $5,000 to some tree that he said died. That tree probably isn't worth $5,000, but don't spend years in legal trying to fight the $5,000. Like, it's just not worth it.
So grow thicker skin, let it go more often.
Yeah. Like, instead of being that tree's not $5,000 tree, like, it's just not worth it.
I like it. I like it. What are the common mistakes do you see the young guys do? Now, here's my question. You have 80 sales reps, so you probably have it happen to you. Have you have someone stealing your yard signs from job sites?
Yeah.
Like competition?
I've had people drive over them. I've
Really?
had people call being furious about jobs. And like,
Why is that happening? Like, how crazy is Minnesota for that culture?
I don't feel like I have such a good sense because I'm not on the ground as much as I used to be like a couple years ago. But I would say Minnesota is one of the most competitive markets in the nation, next to Florida, Texas, and Colorado. Like, Minnesota, like, I always joke, and it's like a hailstorm goes off and you're on a roof and you see 10 other contractors drive by. Like,
Here's what I did notice. Usually the most aggressive guys on the street never make it long term, never make really big numbers, and usually have so many personal issues. That's where drugs, alcohol, and like that rage culture, just I don't know if they're in it for very short time, for that summer, for that, like, I don't know why they're behaving like this, but this gotta stop. If you guys are stealing someone's yard signs, it's wrong. I mean, how do you feel about them knocking on the doors? Would your sales guys knock at doors if the yard sign already there from competition?
no.
You would respect it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I want them to do. Like, I don't have control, and like, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee that's never happened.
Of course, of course.
But like, that's not something I encourage. Like, I like to see people build cool roofs. Like, I get excited, still to see that stuff, whether it's you or somebody else.
There's enough work for everyone.
Yes.
But I feel like after the storm, I mean, some of the stories, like not only in the groups, I mean, I've seen fist fights outside of, supply houses, even Home Depots and stuff. You go to the store, like people start fighting in neighborhoods, like stealing yard signs. It's nasty.
I mean, like, I can think of the amount of homeowners that call and say, "Oh my God, we're worried about your contract or something." Oh, we don't worry about it. You want to go with someone else? Go with someone else, and that ends up winning us the deal back. Which we're both talking them out of, or they have something, and we're just like, whatever, we don't care. Like, it's such a bad business practice to force someone to do something they don't want to do. regardless of how much money you like or effort you think this job is yours and how much money you're gonna make, if that homeowner doesn't want you to roof his house, I guarantee you it's probably not gonna go well.
Well, here's what I want to know about your training dealing with insurance adjusters. Do you see increase of denials by big players? How do you work with insurance companies? How do you deal with denials? What's your process there? Supplements, the whole insurance game.
Just respect them. Like you hear all the nightmare stories about like contractors leaving insurance adjusters, on the roof or fighting with them. And it's like they got a job to do, we got a job to do. Thank you for your time today. Great to see you another day. I mean, there's some insurance companies right now who like I feel like are not doing the best job by their homeowners. And then sometimes I sit back and look at an insurance company do something that I don't understand too. Like,
Well, they're unpredictable, especially here in Minnesota. And I would say Minnesota is a great state for restoration, but they're absolutely not predictable. You will see roofs that they approve that should never be approved, and you'll see roofs that it's smashed, and it's just. But when do you fight? Like if your sales reps comes to you and say, "Well, look at this damage," and they're not buying it, what's your option? What tools do you have? Do you work with the PAs? Do you work with the like? What do you do?
I'm not a big fan of PAs. We have some estimators that will correct estimates in house. And, it comes down to the homeowners. Like, you never want to force a homeowner to fight a claim they don't want to fight.
Of course.
So like I always have the homeowner be the first line of defense and then we back the homeowner up. So it's how do you train and equip the homeowner to combat the insurance company themselves and give them the supporting documentation or the estimate? Because I feel like the homeowners are more likely to get anything done than a contractor.
Love it. Do you do siding?
Yes.
How much?
I'm really concerned because we got like 200 and some full wraps on order. And
200 jobs?
Yeah, like on order at the moment, 200 and some. Like currently, like we got the roof saw, we're waiting on the siding. I think we're building like 10 or 12 this week, but at like the 260 we got, it's got.
Wow, 260 siding jobs. Something just died inside of me. First of all, it's freaking cold outside. It's like what, -10? It's freaking cold. And to have 260 jobs, how long will it take you to produce those? 10 per week.
Well, like our goal is to be cleaned up by spring, kind of get a handle on it and have a really good. So some people won't want their siding done in the winter. Some siding you really can't do, but
It's good cash flow because it's the only trade you can do in the winter.
we still do windows. Like windows is a portion of our business, like aluminum clad in Minnesota.
You like it?
I have a great partner that handles most of it for
I
us.
see. That's the key, right?
That is the key. I don't want a warehouse full of windows.
Yeah, if you don't have partner, if you don't have someone who knows what they're doing in the windows, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I feel like I've had great partners all around, so.
Guys, ask your questions. We're going to wrap it up shortly here. I'll give it another 10 minutes. If we don't have questions, we're going to let it go. Give me some crazy stories. What was the hardest time in business? You've been doing it for 4 years. You grew the company from 0 to 80 reps. What was the hardest time in this journey? And what was the easiest? When did it become easy for you?
Still not easy.
Still not easy.
No, but like I'm like a compulsive workaholic and I love what I do. Like my team knows that they can call me at any time and I'm probably going to reply to them on email or answer and help them. And like I can't even tell you the last day I took off, which is kind of an unsick obsession, but like we just keep driving. But what was the question? Sorry.
What the hardest time in this 4 years? So the
So the guy
lowest
that
point.
when I got intentional about roofing in 2018, the guy that was somewhat my partner, never really officially, but I paid him like as such. He told me he didn't need me anymore. And I kind of had to rebuild the business. And
So you started with a split, like you separated.
yeah, like that was COVID,
see.
like I would say it went from like the highest high of my life, like thinking like, oh my God, we just killed our first year together to being like, oh, I don't need you anymore. You're out.
Wow.
And
Are you doing better than him?
I think so. I mean, he still has a company, he's still doing great and wish him nothing but the best.
Sure. Love it. But that was your lowest point that you have to break.
That was really low. Um, I don't know. I always do really bad around the holidays historically. Just because I can't focus on work as much and it's less of my routine. So that becomes kind of so like
Do you
holidays,
love Mondays?
Mondays are good.
I love it. You know what? I'm there with you. Like you know what I hate? I hate 3-day weekends. You know, every time we have like Labor Day. I mean, I'll enjoy it, like family time and stuff, but I can't wait to get back to work. I'm workaholic to the core. Like, 3 days. First of all, vacation should never be more than 3 days. Like 5-day vacation, I'm start climbing on the walls. I have to work. But 2-day weekend, perfect. 3-day, a little bit too much. I'm the same with you. Like I'll sit on a dinner table, Thanksgiving, all of that with the fam, 2-3 hours, and then give me some job.
Yeah.
But we have a question here. Uh, what is Aaron's thoughts on a contractor who wants to pay deductible to win over clients?
You don't need to do it. It's like, are you really that sad? Like, first off, it's what kind of homeowner you're getting. Because if that homeowner doesn't want to pay his deductible, where else is he going to try to save money? If that contractor's offering to waive that deductible, what corners is he willing to cut in your roof? And especially deductibles in Minnesota are like the best value ever.
It's like
Like literally, you get a
$1,000.
$20,000 roof for $1,000. How could you not convince a homeowner to pay that? You know, but like one of the things I like to do with my guys, and this is a secret, I go in asking homeowners for more money because you can install higher quality products that can then lower, insurance rates for that homeowner, and that's actually something of value. I think a lower insurance, premium is of value to a homeowner on a higher quality shingle or roof.
I like it. Um, what is the major difference in Minnesota compared to other states?
I haven't worked a lot of other states. I've worked Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. I know Wisconsin, there's not uniformity in matching. Iowa has line of sight, which is slightly different than Minnesota's reasonable uniform appearance. Um, Pricing's different in various markets.
I mean, we have a good market, so I
I mean, we have
travel.
good codes. I mean, ice and water is, I always like to explain, is almost free money
Mhm.
because the roofers don't charge us to install it and the insurance company pay us for it. So you go down south where they don't have the same codes with
Mhm.
that same deal, like the costs are different just from that.
Yep, everywhere up north is that. I mean, matching, and overall, well, also the labor pool here is a little bit different. So, like in Texas, you have a lot of workers, so it drives price a little bit down. Where here, we pay a little bit more labor, but we also get paid more labor. So it's a good market. I love it here. So Ross is asking for insurance claims. Okay. Well, anything else you want to share, add, talk about before we wrap up?
No, man, thanks for having me. I was really nervous to do this. Really wasn't
I can
sure where
tell.
this is going to go, but this wasn't that bad. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. This is what I like about business owners. You can feel people. You can see their reviews online, and Aaron and his company have amazing reviews. You can see who is who. Like, you cannot fake it for too long on social media. I see a lot of groups. I see a lot of people on the stages. I see a lot of people who play in big shots. I'm here to tell you, Aaron is the guy to follow. He deleted his Facebook, but if you can find him online, Instagram, whatever, if you're looking for good company to work for, if you're here in Minnesota, he is one of the best, and I'm sincere when I say it, one of the best players in my city. Someone, he's in directory. Like, I love recommending people to someone like Aaron because I know he's gonna get it right. There's just a mentality, and you have it. Many people don't. There's a mentality that no matter how much it costs, you have to pay if you or your team messed up. I see so many contractors. They made a mistake and they run away. The customer service stops when I have to write a check. They're just takers. I mean, there's so many storm chasers like that. They come to the market, they make millions, they leave, and then they don't care about better reviews, they don't care about customers. And what I appreciate about you and what you've built is you don't have that, and it shows. I mean, doing the volume you're doing, you cannot hide it. When people are not paying for their mistakes, it shows immediately in
I
the
mean, we
reviews.
made mistakes, you know.
Oh, I know.
We fixed
Trust
them.
me, I know. I mean, I've been in this game for 7 years myself, and I mean, even in the last year, right before I sold my company, I mean, we have a mistake. It cost me like 70 grand, metal roofing job. Have to start over. Guess what? You have to do what's right. Otherwise, it's going to be legal action, negative review, or I mean, it's your name, it's your reputation. It doesn't matter where you go from there. It always will chase you. So thank you for being a good guy amongst this crazy industry. And we do have a crazy industry. On this podcast, though, we're going to always highlight best of the best. We invite you, if you have amazing story, if you run your business clean, we want to talk to you on what's the name of the podcast? Business Hats Podcast. Brand new 2 episodes. Cannot even remember it anymore. Thank you guys for your attention. I'll see you in the next one. Ugh.